and there are people with less who are doing much more than you. That's truth, not opinion. And when you think about it, you can probably think of someone in your life that has less resources, less encouragement, less support from a support network, who's managed to achieve more than what you are currently achieving. Hi, I'm Yemi. I'm 26. I work and live in London. I love all things mindset and self growth. And I'm an aspiring founder with a 9 to 5. So trying to build on the side. That rhymed. So the way that this channel is going to work, I'm going to split it into two. I'm going to have important stuff, which is basically just talking about like mindset, anything to do with social commentary, or cultural commentary. Just it's basically just going to be a hodgepodge of loads of different things, but mindset is going to be the main topic. And then I'm going to have my actual YouTube, which is just going to focus on being an aspiring founder, resources that I found, and like vlogs on how I'm balancing my 9 to 5 with, building my company on the side. I'm not going to mention what it is yet because like I'm basically still trying to decide which company I want to build. But yeah, I'm super passionate about loads of different things, and sometimes I find it difficult to prioritize and pick one thing. So bear with me. And once I figure it out, once I find out a framework that works, then I will be sharing that with you guys. Okay? So this is episode 1 of important stuff, and as I mentioned, this is just going to focus on things around mindset, self-growth, things that come to mind, cultural commentary, and also eventually want to interview some of my friends because they're doing really cool stuff and I'd love to kind of provide a platform to them. And then also later on I'll go into a bit more detail about like all the different other kind of mini projects that I'm working on, and it kind of all ties together in a nice little bow. But my YouTube is going to basically be the main conduit for all of the different things that I'm working on at the moment. Stay tuned. Oh, but I can give you an idea. Maybe not. Never mind. So this episode is basically going to be about how to kind of break out of your current circumstances, decide what you want to do next, and give yourself permission to succeed. I think oftentimes, and what I found is that it's quite difficult to go from a position of feeling like you've not really achieved anything or feeling like you're not good enough to achieve something, to then allowing yourself to have big dreams. So this episode is called Burnt Out to Big Dreams. When I'm walking around London, or when I'm on the tube, or when I'm in the shower, or if I'm even just like chilling watching TV, sometimes I'll get these like really strong urge to just like write out a bunch of shit that's like going on in my brain. It's kind of jarring. It might be an ADHD symptom, but nonetheless it's always enlightening. So basically I wanted to structure like all of these episodes around my notes app. So yeah, we're gonna do like a deep dive into one or two of my notes that relate to the wider topic of going from burnt out to having big dreams, or burnt out to achieving big dreams, whichever one you want to call it. And this one is kind of dramatic and a little bit woo woo, but hopefully helpful. I don't know. I'm going to read it, so I'm going to be looking down at my phone. This is really important and paramount to your past, present, and future self. The matrix is what you decide it to be. It can either be a personal prison or paradise. I know that life is hard. I know there are personal circumstances that are really difficult and entrap people in things that they do not and would not decide for themselves. But we're here now, and there are people with less who are doing much more than you. That's truth, not opinion. And when you think about it, you can probably think of someone in your life that has less resources, less encouragement, less support from a support network, who's managed to achieve more than what you are currently achieving. And that's true for me too. Like, I'm not talking about anyone in my immediate circle, but like if I'm thinking about people who have had rags to riches stories, right? They've managed to do a lot with not much. So I wish we lived in a world where we weren't victims of a system that was not designed by us, right? But we're here, and it's up to us to kind of decide how we want to navigate through the system, whether we want to break it and change it again, and how we can apply it to our lives so that we can get the best out of it. We only get this once, right? We only get this thing once. We're not doing it again. This isn't an audition. This is the real shit. That's scary. But it's like so real. And it's completely up to us to break free and to stop being subject to the decisions and the opinions of others. Because that's your current reality, right? You are trapped in a system created and decided by other people. And now the question is, how can you find a glitch in the matrix and create your own reality? How can you elevate past your current circumstances that you've been subjected to? And the worst part is, it's not that hard. Like, not that hard in the sense that you probably have all of the resources to make that change. And actually, the only, or rather, the most important resource is you. If you can just start with yourself, if you can get your mind so right that any external circumstances won't impact your decisions, then you will have basically unlocked the secret to life, right? You have to overcome the noise in your head and in the outside world, and then be wholly and irrevocably committed to doing things differently. Like, we can sit here and argue about who's to blame for the world we live in, but like, that's exactly what the system wants. It wants us to be distracted. It wants us to have infighting, and it wants us to never evolve or grow past our current state. And when we can see past our current situation and look into ourselves, we can find and create a whole new world. We can tap into what we want and remove the excess weight, reset our internal universe, rebuild our identity solely focused around what we want. And we can stop revolving around what other people want and start being the center of our own universe. Okay, cool. So that was the voice note sorry, not voice note. That was the note that I wrote to myself when I was like on the tube. And like, that's so real, bestie. Like, whenever I get really overwhelmed, sometimes I just like write stuff down in my notes app. Sometimes it's complete BS. Sometimes it's like actual really good knowledge that is helpful to me, and then hopefully it can be helpful to other people. It's probably just like regurgitated things that I've heard in the past, but nonetheless it's super like on the nose, right? Like, I can read that and I can think like, who wrote that? Because it's not me, the girl who's like stressing out half the time. That's when I'm like locked in and clear on a vision, and I know that there's kind of a, you know, some type of message that is swirling around in my head that I need to hear at that point. That's when I put it down in the notes app. And so I want to just touch on a couple things. I think number one is that the world we live in totally wants us to stay where we are. And I think about how it feels to never have achieved anything, or to feel as though you're behind, or to feel like the timeline that you're on is just not good enough. But ultimately, there is no better time to start doing better than now, right? Like, if you have to think about the next best time to take action, it's yesterday and then it's today. That's it. Not tomorrow, but like right now. When we start to compare ourselves to other people, when we start to take in noise from the outside world, it can be really easy to forget, first of all, our mission, second of all, our passions, and third of all, our purpose. Like, And you might say that mission and purpose is the same thing, but I think that those two things are quite different. You could fulfill your purpose through your mission, but I think that our purpose is kind of all the same. Our purpose is to help others, number one, and then to help ourselves. Like, that's kind of it. Your mission is how you do that, right? It's the vehicle with which you decide that you're going to like carry out those things, and your passion is what informs how you decide your mission. So for me, I have like quite a few passions, but let's just say like my passion is, I've got a passion for fashion. Like, let's say that's one of those things. I've got a passion for fashion. What's something that fashion makes me feel? It makes me feel self-confident. It makes me feel like I'm expressing myself. Like, sometimes I find words quite difficult to use to express myself. I think fashion is another way for me to get my kind of inner world across. Um and so if that's something that I'm passionate about, my mission would be to bring fashion to other people, or to share fashion with other people, style, design, whatever. And then my purpose is that I'm helping other people. And in turn, I'm also helping myself. That's the way that, like, that's how I would say that the building blocks kind of align. So then coming back to my main point around when you're kind of focusing on comparing yourself, or when you're listening to outside noise about who you should be and who you should show up as and what you should do, it's very easy to forget the core mission, your core passion, your core purpose, whatever it may be. Maybe it's not just one thing, maybe it's multiple things. And so many times I've been on social media, I've been scrolling, and I'll be like, oh, I just don't measure up to that person. This person has achieved XYZ. So what gives me the right to then try and do XYZ, because I haven't done XYZ in the past? And I don't know how to explain this, but I do. I have another notes app. Burnout to big dreams. The world will tell you that you have to have achieved stuff in the past in order to achieve stuff in the future. Except it's so much harder to lift yourself from where you are now to be where you want to be. Feeling burnt out, sorry, or like you have nothing to show for yourself is fine. What's not fine is then never doing anything about it. To go from being a burnout to having big dreams takes an immense amount of effort to figure out what you want, determine what you need to do to get there, and how you're going to do it with the resources and skills you have to hand. The lucky thing is that this world is filled to the brim with easily accessible information. So get up and start. This is your sign that it's never too late to start. So yeah, there's one thing about giving yourself permission to go after the things you want, regardless of the current situation that you're in. I'm in the business of manifesting, right? I want to be a podcast host. I want to be a content creator. I want to be a founder, like I'm an aspiring founder. I want to be, I want to be a public speaker. I want to be an actress. Those things are things that I'm actively working towards now. Not much of it has materialized, but the moment you decide, you've almost changed the reality that you're living in. The moment that you decide you're any one of those things, the moment you decide you're a writer, you are a writer. The moment you pick up a pen to be a writer, you are a writer. You can't compare yourself then to someone who has written, and Alexander wrote the other 51. Like, you can't compare yourself to someone who has written 50 books. You just need to get the reps in. Like, you just need to do the work. You will get there eventually if that's your goal. But ultimately, like day one, step one is just deciding that it's okay for you to be a writer. You don't have to have written 50 books in order to call yourself a writer. Like, you have to give yourself permission to succeed. You have to give yourself permission to try. And that is how you find glitches in the matrix to then quantum leap into a life that you want. And that sounds like really woo woo. So I'm just going to like dial it back a little bit. Let's go back a little bit, right? In order to get, okay, let's say you're traveling from location A to location B. And you're seeing someone who's traveled from, let's say, location B to location Z. You have to give yourself permission to, like, you can't just give up at the first. It's not even a hurdle. It's literally just you have to take one step. You can't allow yourself to give up at that point, or else you're never even going to make it to B, let alone Z. And you might think like, oh, it's going to take me years to get there. But equally, it could just take you 1 year. It could take you 6 months. It could take you 1 month. Like, you don't know how long it's going to take. But what you do know for a fact is that if you never try, you will always be in the same spot that you are today. That is a sad reality that you either need to get to grips with or otherwise figure out how to get out of that situation. And that's what I'm doing today. This is why I'm starting a channel. I'm like, I already know what I want. I've got a clear vision. I've got a clear vision. I've got the resources available to me to be able to do it. I'm using my smartphone. I bought a mic. I've got a tripod. I've got a brain. I've got a mouth. Like, I've got resources to get where I want to get to. Number one. Number two, I understand that if I don't try today, like, I'm not saying, like, it's never too late to start, right? But I understand that if I don't try today, I'm picking a life actively that I don't want. If I don't try something different today, I'm picking actively a life that I don't want. So, yeah, I think that there are two things that have really kind of impacted my decision today. Number one is understanding that I'm the decider of my own fate. The reason why I'm living this life today is because of decisions that I've made in the past. So it's time to make new decisions. And number two, I've realized that I can transform, right? I could go from burnt out to having big dreams. And that's okay. I don't need to have hundreds of accolades backing me up in order to get here to this point and say what I want to say. I don't need to have posted 100 videos in order to be a YouTuber. I've posted this one video. I'm now a YouTuber. And I have to sit in that and be comfortable with that and be comfortable with being seen and be comfortable with putting myself out there and be comfortable with the fact that this might not go anywhere and just understand that that's not the goal. The goal isn't to be it is the goal. Subscribe. The goal isn't to be a YouTuber with hundreds of thousands of subscribers. The goal is for me to evolve past the version of myself who said that I wanted to be a YouTuber and then never posted consistently. That is my goal. My goal is to prove to myself that I can do something consistently and that I can work towards my big dreams and that I don't have to sit in a burnt out energy forever. I can break the loop today. I can break out of this reality that past me has concocted today. There's nothing holding me back. I used to be like, oh, I need to get the DJI, like the latest camera. I need to move jobs so that it can align with my brand. So then when I start posting, the job and my brand makes sense and that I eventually want to do XYZ. And so then everything falls into this perfect little bubble. But like, it would be amazing if life worked like that. if everything went according to plan or my plan and my vision. But the only way that's going to happen, like, I don't need to wait 5 or 10 years for that to happen. I can just decide today that that's my reality. I'm a YouTuber now. I posted one YouTube video, but I'm a YouTuber now. Yeah, get into it. What are you gonna say? Right? So yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything else I want to say. I don't even know what I'm gonna call this video, but I just want to get on here. I want to start, so I guess I can also talk about my plans. So essentially, I want to have a podcast. It's called Important Stuff. I just want to talk about basically anything that comes to mind. Social commentary. I want to talk about the Diddy case. I want to talk about Quentin Blackwell on Victoria's Secret, where she ate down, right? I want to talk about all of the like pop culture stuff. I also want to talk about like mindset, mental health. I want to interview some of my friends who are doing really cool stuff, and see like how they kind of went to down how they did. Hey, English, how they decided to go down that path. So that's going to be like one of my like outlets essentially, and I'm just going to post it on YouTube. Keep it simple, keep it fresh, keep it cute. Do you know what I mean? And then I'm an aspiring founder, yet to found anything, but I feel like it's kind of hard to work a 9 to 5, find all these resources for founders, find all these networking events, find all these people that you can like chill with or talk to who are also builders or like also trying to build something outside of their 9 to 5. And so I want to create like a community of people who are working in their 9 to 5 but also building something on the side, whether it's a YouTube channel, whether it's an actual company, and then also like a community of people who are interested in angel investing. And so it's just going to be like a hodgepodge of different people who have their 9 to 5 but are also exploring like interests, from a monetary perspective outside of work. I'm still yet to decide whether I'm just going to focus it on Black women or whether it's just going to be like open to more people. I'm not really sure, but I've started off as a newsletter and then that will then evolve from there. So on the newsletter, I'll link it down below. On Substack, you can find like funding rounds, like any VCs who have posted on LinkedIn that they're currently looking for companies to pitch to them. You can find like podcasts that I've listened to that I found really insightful, books that I've read that I found insightful, any articles that I've come across, as well as like any events, just basically anything that would I feel like would be helpful as a founder that I've come across and I'm using in my own journey. I'm posting it in the newsletter. And then I'm also posting news that I've found like interesting that week, like any companies that I've um, raised funds, any companies that are pivoting, like large companies as well as early stage startups. Like I want to give a broad range because you never know where inspiration lies when it comes to like finding a new business idea. And then yeah, just like commentary on stuff that's happening in the financial space. So well, no, not financial space per se, but yeah, just like any commentary on like business stuff. So my most recent Substack post was on Sora 2 versus the creator economy. Like, where is the opportunity for founders who are looking for new ideas? Will they be on the AI side or will they be kind of on the in real IRL community building space? Because there's a split, right? There's a divide. There's people who want to embrace AI fully, and a lot of the like funding that we're seeing being allocated to new startups is like for AI startups that they're really doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But then there's also people who are focusing on like building run clubs, building social community spaces, building creative studios that I find really interesting as a concept as people are moving back to kind of more analog media, and also yeah, just wanting to connect with people at IRL. So yeah, that was the kind of mini essay that I wrote, and I find it all quite interesting to see where the opportunity lies from that perspective. And then I also want to do like founder spotlight. So if I see a company that's really interesting, or spot a person who it has founded multiple companies, like I want to basically do a spotlight on their story, where again people can gain inspiration from, or they might be able to like see that person's name and then find them on LinkedIn and connect with them that way. And that part I want to eventually turn into a podcast where I start to like interview founders, startups, angel investors on how they're viewing the space, and like what companies they're investing in, which companies they're starting, what challenges they face, what they would do differently if they were to start again. And then also have pitch competitions. So people who have startups will come to these competitions and pitch their ideas, and basically we'll have like a community of people who are investors looking for new companies, but also startup founders who are looking for investors in this little meet cute situation. And then I also want to do like supper clubs. So, but for like maybe make it more kind of industry focused. Like one of the things that I really find quite annoying about a lot of these networking events is that they're not curated, they're not specific, and sometimes it can be very generic. And I'm like, how can people get the most value? And I think like a supper club for people who are in like the early stages of their career, of their like founding career or early stages of the investing career, can come and just like ask questions in a safe space, maybe get one or two panel speakers, make it really intimate and cute, and so people can derive like the most value from that. So yeah, there's like a whole bunch of different things I want to do, but that will all sit under the Lost and Found name. And then, so I also want to be a content creator, blah, 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 blah. Public speaker, if you're ever wanting someone to speak. I'm still developing those skills, so give me a second whilst I cook. But I would love to speak on like panels eventually, related to either my day job or related to kind of entrepreneurism, increasing access to funding for Black women, and kind of working from that perspective with the UK task force on their vision for that with regards to women, but as a subset for Black women specifically, because we just don't receive any funding. It's kind of crazy. And it's like, I realized the other day that we literally live in the I didn't realize, I saw a post, I can't remember who said it, but that we're all living in the imagination of white men. And it just made me realize like there's so much knowledge that is lost, wink, that can be found, wink wink, amongst the community of Black women, and that can not only benefit us as a collective but also society as a whole. It's like, why wouldn't you want to invest in Black women when we can give you an ROI? Yeah. So yeah, so many things, bro. But I've got a vision, I've got a plan, and we're gonna execute. Right. Bye. It feels so weird to be doing this for the 100th time. I have tried to start a YouTube channel. I don't even know. This must be my like third time for real actually trying. And it's kind of interesting because I never really like thought I would be the type of person who would keep trying, you know what I mean? But it must mean that I this is something that I definitely want to do. The problem is that I don't even know what I want to talk about. Um well, that's not true. I have like an idea of things that I want to say. Nothing that is new, nothing new under the sun. Maybe a different perspective, maybe a new voice. Maybe no one watches this, but I just need to try. I just need to try.